Spikes, man. Nike gave these to me this weekend. Some Oregon Customs. Just want to say, those are freaking dope spikes.
You said the other day you feel a little more comfortable generally as a hunter. Did you feel like you were a little more in a position you're accustomed to, at least in this race?
Yeah, I was. I wanted to be in a little bit of a different position. With 3:50 to go, I got kind of pushed around into like 4th or 5th. And I knew if I was going to fight to try and take the lead again, I'd be burning a lot of matches to try and get high enough up to be in a position so that with 200 to go, you're in position, you know what I mean? So I decided to sit. And by doing that, I kind of let a gap open up in the front. And I knew that I had enough in me to hunt down most of the guys, but when Sam broke away, he had so much momentum that he's going to be hard to catch today. But shout out to him, Sam is a freaking awesome athlete and even better person. I love racing him. So after the race, I gave him a big hug. It's his first national title. He's been waiting for it for a while, so I'm sure that's going to feel really good for him. So shout out to Sam.
That little window opens up with 100 to go. You feel like kind of, at least, if technically things hadn't gone how you wanted a little earlier in the race, do you feel like that was your moment to seize? Yeah,
something Jared and I talked about today was being on the rail. And something he told me was, in the last 100 meters, a lot changes. The race can really come down to that last 100. And he said, if you ever look back at most 800s, the rail always opens up. Cole at the Olympic 1500 last year, the rail opened up for him. We watched back last year's 800 final, and there's a huge gap on the inside. So I knew that if I was just patient enough, something would probably open up. And so I was just waiting for that today, and when it did, I took the opportunity.
It's one thing to be optimistic that it will.
Yeah.
It's another thing to literally have to capitalize in a millisecond when it does.
Yeah.
Once you got through that initial break, and then it really, like at that point, I think you were like from like 8th to like 6th or 5th, and then you really moved it. Like just how pivotal was that you saw it open and that you attacked it the way you did?
Yeah. A lot of times going into races, I have like some preconceived ideas of race plans in my head. Today, it was about making decisions on the fly, and so. In the moment, I knew that if something opened up like that, I just had to use my energy in those moments and make the right decisions. A lot of the races, like you have these preconceived ideas of what's going to happen, but being able to make decisions in the moment is what separates the great racers from the really great racers. And so, Sam took his opportunity when he saw it. I took mine. For him, it resulted in gold. For me, it resulted in silver.
How do you feel about placing second?
I'm a competitor, so I hate losing, but. Today, it was a really meaningful race for me. Whether I was first or whether I was last, this is my last outdoor race as a Duck. I have one more indoor season of collegiate eligibility, but it was really awesome to be out there and representing UO, representing Canada, representing my family. So it means a lot for me.
Seems like the middle third or so of your race was a little physical. Was it typically physical? Was it more than usual?
Yeah, going into it, that was actually something else I had in the back of my mind. I was like, there's probably gonna be a lot of pushing and shoving, and so if that does happen, just to not get overwhelmed, not panic. And I thought I actually did a really good job of that. I took some elbows, got pushed around, and I just relaxed. I didn't panic. I found the rail, and just waited for the opportunity to open up in the last 120.
What changed between this race and the Big Tens where you did get boxed in?
Right. I feel like today I was a little bit more confident in my abilities in Big Tens, even through regionals. I felt like I wasn't as confident as I usually am. We hadn't done as much speed stuff. I feel like I just wasn't quite making the right decisions in the fly. It's honestly a skill, is to be able to make those quick decisions, kind of have a feel of how races are playing out in the moment. I feel like I didn't quite have that decision-making ability. So in the Big Ten, there probably was a gap on the rail. When I go back and watch, the lane one did open up, but I was just too impatient. I wasn't confident in myself enough to be able to just relax, sit until 80 to go, and then move. I felt like I swung wide with 120 at Big Tens, where today I waited and seized the opportunity on the inside.
I don't know if you remember, but in the beginning of the season, or in between indoor and outdoor, you were talking about this battle that you had with execution and results. And I'm just wondering where you are with that right now.
Yeah. So today, like I said, I hate losing. Second place was not what I came here for, but I'm content. Because for me, it wasn't the outcome today. It was about the execution. Something that me and my coach talked about was, I'm still young. I'm 22. I got almost my whole career ahead of me. And so all of these championship races are learning moments for me. And even though the outcome wasn't exactly what I wanted, I learned so much today. I'm taking so much away from these opportunities. And so I'm really content with just how I'm developing, how that race went, and how I executed, even if it wasn't for the win. I still did a lot of things right that I can take away and be happy with.
What's the plan for the rest of the summer?
Right. So let me grab some water. So I have a couple options here. Between now and the end of June, probably be a bit of a training block. I might run one race, but my goal is to make the World Outdoor Championships in Japan. So I'm going to race a couple times between now and the Canadian National Championships to get ready for that. We have, I said this indoors to you, but we got the reigning world champs. So Canada gets 4 spots for the outdoor team. So if I can make that team, then I will be racing and seeing what plays best so that I can peak in September and try and represent my country at the highest level, which is the World Championships.
Do you feel like you peaked for this meet as well, though? Or
yeah, so the way that the collegiate season is hard when you're trying to extend through September. The way I look at it is you build through the winter, you have this tiny little peak in March for the indoor championships. Probably the peak of your season is June, I will say. So what we're going to do, if you're thinking about it, if you're graphing this, it's a little bump, big bump, then you kind of take a dip. So we're going to do a little bit of a base phase here, get some training in, resharpen for August. That'll probably be where I'm maxed out, where I'm like really hitting my biggest stride is the national championships, and then I'm just trying to maintain that through the world championships, which would be about a month later.
Great.
Yeah.